Ebirah. Ebirah.
That one was janky.
Yeah, man, like Godzilla's been really janky the last couple of times. Monster story.
The characters, Mr. Lockpick, his whole some people have girlfriends, I've got this. It makes it seem like he's into locks, you know. Did you imagine that, man?
Well, hello there. What do we have here but a locked box? You know, I don't usually go for older women, but baby, there's something about you that's just tantalizing. Is it the curves? The little metal knobs? Or is it... There it is. A lock. Now, considering your advanced age, you don't need any WD-40 or lubrication, do you? Or are you just going to spring open for daddy? Oh, God. Yes! I'm in. Yeah, Pat, you really don't want to think about that.
Oh, my. Well, if you insist.
This is one lobster you don't want to order. Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. Welcome back to Entertainment Rebooted, specifically another episode of Cinema Revisited, Godzilla.
Godzilla!
Where we are watching all of the classic Godzilla movies, and eventually we'll get to the American ones in 3 years if you stick with us. Please stick with us.
I believe in you.
I
Follow us.
believe in you more than I believe in us.
Yep.
Anyway, on this channel, we like to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the iconic of all the Godzilla films. Tonight's film was none other than 1966's Ebirah, Horror of the Deep.
Yes.
Featuring Godzilla.
Yes.
And
Mothra.
Mothra's in it too. I am, of course, joined by my co-host, the great and overpowered
Lightning beam.
Lightning Beam.
Yeah. No one expects lightning beam.
Nobody expects that or the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pat, if you can remember, please give everybody the plot of Ebirah, Horror of the Deep.
A young fisherman has been lost at sea. His family has consulted a psychic that says he's still alive.
Which is always credible, by the way.
Yes,
Psychics are always
very
true.
credible.
Spirit Guide does say so.
Yes. The boy goes to the police. The police are like, not our problem, not our jurisdiction. Whoop whoop.
And then he immediately goes to the next most reliable source, the media.
Yes. He gets brushed off by them, but then he sees a poster that says, you win this dance competition, you get a luxury yacht.
Correction, he doesn't get brushed off by them. He gets brushed off by the young guy. The other guy, hearing that he went to a psychic to get his information, was just like, God damn, these kids don't usually go to psychics.
True.
This kid knows his stuff.
Yep.
Psychics are always accurate and definitely not out for your money.
Yep. So he goes to the dance hall, but the dance competition's been going for 3 days, and there's only 15 people left. Two guys fail, and they go off to the side, and they're like, hey, we should probably just scam since we lost. And then they realize that the dude's just been standing there with his bag. He's like, hey, do I still have a chance to win this? And they're like, you're too late.
Like 3 days too late, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't join. 3 days later.
And then they just take him with them, and they drive up the coast to a random yacht dock.
Because they're just like, this dude really wants to see yachts.
Yeah.
Definitely not acquire a yacht, just see one. And
Yep.
we, being people that ran into him as he was staring longingly at a wood model of a yacht, are responsible for taking him there.
It's our civic duty.
It's our civic duty, man. Like, he was
So
really into it.
They go onto a random yacht, and they just start opening up everything. And it's like fully stocked. And they're like, oh, I wonder who owns this. And all of a sudden, out of the back room, a dude flips off the bed with a gun. He's like, I'll show ya. And they're just like, we're sorry. This dude drove all the way from the sticks to see a yacht. He's like, never mind. You guys can sleep here tonight, and you gotta leave in the morning.
You mean to tell me this man wants to see a yacht? Well, in that case, he puts his gun away. Yeah. Why don't you sleep here tonight with me in this yacht?
Yeah. They go to sleep. Dude wakes up, his gun's gone, and the yacht is a-rocking because it's at sea. Kid comes down, the gun's broken to pieces. He's like, was this a gun? It fell to pieces when I picked it up. They go up on deck, and there's like, turn the ship around. He's like, no, I have to find my brother.
So they're just told me that he's alive.
Yes.
And to that they respond, lead the way, Capitan.
Pretty much. He's the only one that actually knows how to work a yacht.
Which is very suspicious considering the guy that owns the yacht doesn't know how to do anything. And that's immediately covered when there's a radio broadcast that says that not only is the ship missing and been stolen and the owner is looking for it because they meant to go across the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
But also, what was it, 400,000 yen? Or 100,000 yen?
400.
Yeah, somebody had gotten away with 400,000 yen in a briefcase.
Yep. Which
matches the description of
Mr. Lockpick.
Batman. Anyway, so they go and they have their little bit of adventure, and Mr. Lockpick is literally like picking locks in random places, like on the ship, right? Like
no,
he's making a lockpick.
He's perfecting his skeleton key.
Right, he's making a skeleton key, and then people are like, well, why the heck are you making a skeleton key? And he literally answers with, you have girlfriends, I have this. Which would be just an odd comment to begin with, but then as the story progresses, of course, there has to be multiple times when Mr. Lockpick gets involved with a lock, and he makes some very concerning noises and is a little too excited.
I can hear you. Oh,
and he's like talking to the locks as he's like doing this like whole thing. And it's like, yes, what he meant by that was actually, you have girlfriends, I have this. Anyway, they end up washing they're on the boat. We kind of
there's a storm that comes.
Huge storm.
And in the storm, a massive lobster claw rises from above and smashes their yacht,
completely destroying it.
So they wash ashore on an island.
Luckily,
very luckily.
Yeah, very luckily.
They climb up top of the island. They find a random machete just on the island. Then they're kind of walking around trying to figure out what's going on. They see a ship that they think's a rescue ship, and they follow it. They find a weird station that's heavily guarded and has like turrets everywhere. Ship pulls up. They're offloading slaves that they kidnapped from Infant Island.
Yeah, like human beings from Infant Island. We recognize them from Infant Island, but at first it's not really clear.
Yes.
But they find these, and they're like, okay, well, never mind. Instead of going towards them, we should probably avoid them at all costs.
A couple slaves try to run away. They get shot down by a tower. Another set actually gets onto a boat that they had hidden, but Ebirah rises from the deep again.
Yeah, and destroys
and eats them.
It destroys and eats them. So because one of the during all of this, one of the female slaves, Infant Islandians. One of the islanders escapes the other way while they're all distracted, and they go and they chase after her, and they find out that there's like multiple people that are
from Infant Island they've been kidnapped by Red Bambo.
Yeah, the organization called Red Bambo, and they're making some kind of liquid. It's a yellow liquid. They don't really get too much into it, but it appears to be derived from a number of fruits. And in order to escape the island and Ebirah, you have to spray this liquid into the water, and then he avoids it. So that's like the majority of their whole thing is that they're trying to get off the island and save the people from Infant Island.
Yes.
Sorry, I've completely hijacked your plot.
You are good, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to continue, or do you want to take over?
Just gotta flop back and forth.
Okay, we'll flop back and forth. Okay. So while this is happening, we get a flash over to Infant Island, where they're trying to they're trying to raise.
They're trying to wake Mothra because Mothra's sleeping, and they need Mothra to save the people from Devil Island, is what we learn the name of the island is. Then back on Devil Island, they are noticed that she has escaped, so they start chasing after her. They run across the island and they end up on a cliff, and then they act like they're going to jump off the cliff, but there's actually a ledge underneath that they jump into. They don't get seen on the small ledge under the cliff.
Yeah, it's just like enough of a lip. It's this weird thing,
Yeah.
and on this lip they find like a little cave. So they all, after they think that everybody's gone, they go into this cave to avoid another storm,
Yeah.
which seems to be a regular occurrence. It
Yeah.
seems like every day another storm comes. So they take shelter in the cave. And wouldn't you know, inside of the cave, having fallen off of his greatest weakness, ledges, is none other than Godzilla.
Godzilla!
But he seems to be in a bit of a stupor.
Yep.
He seems to be in like some kind of catatonic state.
Yes.
So they come up with a plan. They need to be able to somehow. Well, actually, no. They avoid.
You're
avoid
way
Godzilla.
ahead.
I am ahead.
Yeah.
This film is kind of janky.
Yeah.
So what they do is they decide that they're going to try to free people from.
Yes. So
Red Bambo.
they
Yeah.
make a fake bush, and they slowly approach the gate. But one of the dudes accidentally trips. They start showing their searchlights everywhere, and Daiyo, the infant islander, releases a dove, which convinces them that it was just a dove.
Yeah, the giant like man falling on gravel sound
Was a dove.
was a dove. So they find their way towards the gate, and
Mr. Lockpick shows his shiny.
oh, he does. He pulls out his lockpick and he goes to work on like 7 or 8 locks
In a row.
like in a row. Like, and he's quick.
Oh yeah, he's so quick.
He's quick, but don't worry, the locks don't complain. Anyway, so they go through and they find that there's like a nuclear reactor.
Yeah, there's an
on-
atomic
yeah.
fusion device.
Yeah,
So they realize that they're making atomic weapons in this secret base.
yeah. So that's like the whole thing is they're making these secret weapons. They don't want anybody getting out. The islanders, however, aren't helping with creating of the nuclear weapons. It is literally just like
They're in
they're
a
making
cave,
the repellent
and they're grinding fruits to make yellow liquid.
for repellent for
Ebirah.
Ebirah.
Yeah.
So as they're
Trying to sneak away, they get caught by the captain, who has an eye patch that has a sick dragon on it. Sick dragon eye patch. We forgot about that.
well, I didn't really forget about it. I just assumed that everybody would know. We talked about a villain.
True.
Yeah. But so they get caught. They have to scatter. They capture one of the people, one of the Japanese people.
They capture one of the dance contestants.
Yeah, one of the dance contestants.
The fisher gets tied up in an observation balloon, and he just drifts away.
Mm-hmm. And he manages to drift away. So he drifts away to Infant Island, conveniently.
Yeah.
That's kind of where he
Very
falls.
conveniently.
So he's able to reunite with his brother. His brother, the fisherman who the psychic said was alive. It turns out he survived, but he washed up on the other island, Infant Island,
2 months ago.
2 months ago. So they're reunited, and he tells them that, hey, they're on Devil Island.
Yeah.
They're making weapons and stuff, and my friends are there. We need to find a way to get them off the island. To which they're like, well, Mothra's really our only hope. We're trying to get her to
wake up.
But
Mothra, wake up.
pretty much. And so what they do is they say like, hey, here's like a large net that you can make.
You need to make a large net.
Yeah.
We cut back to Infinite Island. This is when they discover that Godzilla's hiding in the cave.
Or Devil Island.
Back to Devil Island. They discover Godzilla's at the bottom of the cave.
Well, they already did.
Yeah.
But now they come up with a plan to
they come up with the plan to
revive
we should wake up Godzilla. So they take the machete that he found, shove it in the top of the mountain, and some wire cable that Daiyo stole, and they loop it around the machete and they slink it down to Godzilla, and then 3 days go by without a storm.
Yeah. And in that time, do they run into their friends again? Like, are they reunited? Because I know that the Infant
They're
Island
reunited
group
after.
comes back.
They're reunited once Godzilla wakes up, because
Right.
Ebirah rises up during the storm. They lost their yellow liquid. They jump out of the canoe that they had. Ebirah smashes that, and they swim to shore.
Right.
Then Godzilla busts out of the cave, and he's just like, "Yo, Lobster, you look tasty."
And they proceed to have a fight.
in the water.
Lots of fights. They have a total of 3 fights in this film. 2? They for sure fight twice.
They fight twice.
Right. Maybe 3 times. Because they fight and then he goes for a nap.
They fight twice, then he fights the bird when he goes for a nap.
Right, he fights the bird. That's the...
Yeah.
This movie's a mess. Okay,
Yeah.
if you guys haven't, like, kind of caught on to that, this movie is really a mess. But so he fights Ebirah in the ocean. He ends up fighting another bird.
Blasts it with his atomic breath, and Ebirah runs away. He goes back onto the island, and they had gotten separated from Daiyo.
The other humans.
So she's running away from the Red Bambo people, and Godzilla comes up over the hill and sees her. And he just kind of has like a weird moment where he just like stares at her and then just like sits down to take a nap.
Yeah, just straight up like just sits. He sits to take a nap, and then they find
a massive bird flies at him.
Yeah, a massive bird flies at him and attacks him, and that's enough of a distraction for them to reunite with the
Daiyo.
And once they're reunited with Daiyo, they get captured like almost immediately, right? Like by Red Bamboo.
No, they didn't get captured.
I thought somebody got captured. Well, okay, so one of them got captured.
There's still the one person captured. He's in the cave with the Infant Islanders.
And he comes with the idea of like
making fake yellow liquid.
Yeah, we make this yellow liquid. They're not supervising us. Let's make one that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So they agree with that plan. There's a lot of things happening that's on the surface. They end up running back into Red Bamboo, into the headquarters to try to save everybody. One of the scientists runs into them, and he activates a doomsday device. Essentially, that'll destroy the entire island in the course of 3
Godzilla
hours.
is attacking the compound as well.
As Godzilla is attacking the compound. So, like, a lot of chaos happens where they're trying to escape, but they're trying to get the Infant Islanders, but they're also trying not to get captured by Red Bamboo.
Or
and they're
smashed
still trying
by
to
Godzilla.
Yeah, or smash Godzilla. They're still trying to wake up Mothra. Eventually, Mothra wakes up and shows up and starts helping Godzilla, and eventually...
She doesn't help Godzilla.
Oh, she does. Well,
she attacks Godzilla.
She does.
Slightly.
She attacks Godzilla to keep him from attacking the human.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Godzilla has a final fight with Ebirah. He rips off both of Ebirah's claws.
And, yeah.
And then he clacks the big one at her.
He literally chases him off with his claw, just like...
Ebirah goes off to die. He goes back to attacking the compound because the compound just made him mad.
Right.
They get picked up by Mothra and flying away. And as they're flying away, they're just like, Godzilla, run away! The island's gonna blow up! Run away!
Because he saved us from Red Bamboo, even though
he didn't mean to attack us.
Like, he didn't mean to attack us. So he ends up like leaping
off a cliff.
Yeah, and so he's going. They end the film with
them flying
off with Mothra into the distance, and they see Godzilla swimming into the sunset.
Yep.
And that's Ebirah, Horror of the Deep.
Yeah.
Probably one of the more messy films.
We
do apologize how jumbled this has become, but it really is one of those things.
The film itself is very jumbled.
It's very jumbled. There's a lot of things to talk about, so let's get into it. Good, bad, ugly, iconic. Pat, what do you think is good about this movie? I agree with the static noise.
Yeah, there's not a lot good. Like, it's not terrible, but like, I don't know if it's really good.
This movie definitely deserves the treatment that I got. It ended up on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay.
So if that tells you anything about it, it's not a good quality movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, like good. I could say like the graphics, like the graphics are good. They do a lot of these different special effects.
The modeling's always good.
They're always good. Like it feels like a cop out just because we've said it so many times. But that is like the only really good part about the movie. How about let's go bad. Let's just jump bad.
They just threw a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this could have been split into a few different movies.
It really does. It's hard to follow. There's so many different
threads. It
Yeah.
doesn't really like land on anything.
Like, it would almost work better as like a plot to a video game where you're controlling it. Like, you got like the main quest and you have like the sub quest that you could do pretty much.
Right, like you can gather different things. And
Yeah,
stuff.
this felt like they were trying to do all the quests all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very jumbled. I would say the music. The music is awful.
There's a lot of like surfer music.
It is. It's a lot of surfer music. Like when they're doing like the dance competition thing, it makes sense because it's like that's it's in line with the era.
But then the
even,
Godzilla fights, it's like bow 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 bow. Godzilla kind of dances to it too, like
it really is this like upbeat like surfer music like while they're fighting, and even when they're being chased or even when like something terrible is happening.
Yeah,
it's like you're literally like watching them do like grinding, like they're trapped
in a cave,
slaves in a cave grinding juice, and it literally is like like
yeah.
So the music is bad. It's not quite like ugly. I wouldn't like warn people because it is. It's just it doesn't fit.
Yeah,
it's just not well put together.
Yeah.
Speaking of ugly, what is the thing that you would warn somebody about? When
Mr. Lockpick.
Mr. Lockpick.
Yeah,
it's pretty ugly.
It's
awkward.
He's far too into locks.
Very very into locks. Like part of the enjoyment though was anytime he showed up with a lock, I couldn't help myself. I would always just be like, "Ooh yeah, ooh it's a 3-part lock. Ooh, I'm listening very carefully. Tell me your secrets."
Yeah,
you know that's part of the fun I think of this.
It's I would warn them about them because like otherwise you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's a Godzilla movie, cool," and then all of a sudden you're just like, "Why the hell is this dude so into locks?"
Yeah. Let's see, another ugly. There is so much dead silence.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dead space in this movie. It's very extended. There's some scenes where they do things that don't really make sense. They don't really do much of anything. But the other thing is that it's just like there are literally moments where Godzilla is staring at somebody with like dead eyes, like dead glass eyes.
Like when he's staring at Daiyo.
Yeah, he's staring, but like his eyes are up here doing this, and he's standing there like that, just staring, and there's dead space.
He's just like,
yeah, his mouth's open. He literally looks like,
yeah.
And another thing too is just like when they have like character interactions and stuff like that, just dead air. When they're in between set pieces, dead air. When they're just like you're not seeing anything, they don't play any music. The music is bad, but sometimes it's like, okay, can we get some sound?
Yeah, it's just it almost you feel like the movie like stopped, like it just like froze, and like you almost like wait, did something go wrong? And then all of a sudden it just starts again.
Yeah, you feel like there's like 10-15 minutes of this movie that just nothing happens. The other ugly like to warn somebody about is that this is bad.
Yeah,
it's a bad movie. Like we made fun of Astro Monster, but Astro Monster, even though it just like featured Godzilla, was our joke.
Yeah.
Like he's really not in it very much. This film just it's actually really bad. Astro Monster, they kind of missed an opportunity with the sci-fi, but it still was like, okay, I can kind of see where they're going with it.
Yeah.
This one's bad.
It's almost like they try to make up for the lack of Godzilla, so they try to throw Godzilla in there more, but they didn't actually utilize him correctly.
Yeah. Another thing too is like just doing a little bit of reading. So I read just a little bit of the trivia and stuff about it. Apparently, this movie was meant to be a King Kong movie.
Oh.
And they decided though that since they were like, oh, it's monsters fighting and stuff. We haven't done. Godzilla's a very popular character. Let's just make it a Godzilla movie, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like why it's so disjointed. Because I could definitely see King Kong fighting a giant lobster.
Yeah, and there is supposed to be like King Kong's island supposed to have like special fruit on it anyway.
Yeah. It's a special like Skull Island thing. I think that when they made the plot to like destroy the island, they also were like, well, we don't want to destroy Skull Island.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is just it's a jumbled mess. How about is there anything iconic? Like what would be something that's actually worth watching about this movie?
Rock Lobster.
The iconic part is when he chases off Ebirah with his own claw.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. The fights are good. Like
They're good they're good kaiju fights.
They're good kaiju fights. You know, it's Godzilla fighting a literal lobster and he like rips his arm off.
Yeah. Twice.
Twice. Both claws. There's good humor in it when it's them fighting.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the iconic part.
Yeah.
Like whenever Godzilla is actually fighting a creature, it's like once again with the Astro Monster when we said the iconic thing was like the 5 minutes Godzilla's on screen.
Yeah.
It's sad that's I'm really hoping they kind of move out of this trend, but
hopefully.
At the same time, these films aren't really known for being like spectacular, like horror spectacles and things like that. They're meant to be kind of campy. Anyway, you have any other thoughts? Like this film's just so.
It's very jumbled. It's janktastic.
Yeah. If you had to make this film for a modern audience, what would you do to make Ebirah horror of the deep? You want me to take it first, or?
I was just taking a moment. Sorry.
Yeah.
I would probably cut back a bit of the stuff, like more central line. I feel like.
Okay.
I can still see like they're kidnapping the Infant Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's a special fruit on Infant Island that they're using. And they're kidnapping the Infant Islanders because they know how to process it.
Mm-hmm.
I see the Godzilla like sleeping there because dude just randomly sleeps in mountains.
Sure, he shows up random places.
Yeah.
It's kind of in his character that he roams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would say like it would be more like they're trying to weaponize Ebirah, I would say.
Mm.
Instead of like them doing nuclear weapons, they're trying to weaponize a kaiju.
Okay, yeah.
So like they're trying to use they're using the fruit to like quarantine him. Like while they're trying to like control him. And maybe like instead like his brother got lost. It's like I don't know, I can still see his brother getting lost.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna have that, like if you want to have the same kind of cast of characters, it makes sense that his brother got lost at sea.
Yeah.
And it does tie into like the giant lobster.
Yeah, like
yeah,
like they're weaponizing him and like he's attacking the fishing lines because like they're trying to they're trying to control the fish trade or something.
Yeah, maybe.
So like then his brother, instead of ending up on Infant Island, ends up on Devil Island.
Okay.
Like I still see Mothra coming in to save them at the end. But, like you don't need to have them all go to Infant Island. Like you keep it on Devil Island, like from Japan to Devil Island in the sea.
Okay.
You like minimize the locations. Them waking up Godzilla as like, oh wait, here's Godzilla. We can wake him up and he can take out Ebirah, and then we can make an escape for it.
Okay.
So it's not like we need to wake Godzilla up to fight the people. We wake him up to take out Ebirah, which they're using to control everyone.
Okay. That work? Yeah, like definitely. That's a little bit more focused. There's a little bit more into that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I think that what I would do is it's a thing where they're taking the Infant Islanders because they're not very well defended. The crab is not the crab, the lobster. Ebirah is like their kaiju. They kind of control the kaiju through a variety of means. Maybe it is the fluid, maybe it is something, but he's being manipulated by these people on Devil Island. Okay, so he goes and he attacks and he injures Mothra, and Mothra is like injured or has to like is sleeping like while she's not able to protect them. They are taking the infant islanders to this island because they need free labor and they're not as well defended as Japan. The people end up like coming to Infant Island, so we don't find this out until the people end up washing ashore on Infant Island. While they're out looking for him, or they go and they purposely like sail to Infant Island because they're like, hey, like maybe they've seen something we haven't heard from Infant Island in a long time. So maybe they ended up there. It's just like there's something going on. So they end up sailing in there. They find out like, hey, your brother's here, but he may have been taken with the rest of these islanders. We have a crisis. We're trying to wake up Mothra, and only a few of us are still here to try to do that. But they've taken them to Devil Island, and there's something weird going on. As they get to Infant Island, or they get to Devil Island, they start discovering that like there's a lot of really weird things. Maybe there's some monsters and stuff, some kaiju that were unaccounted for. One of them is obviously Ebirah, and it's destroying ships and it's doing these different things. So it's impossible for them to really get help and figure out all these different things. But as they end up washing ashore, they find that there's a facility. When they go to the facility, they find out that it's like this revolutionary group, Red Bambo. I would change the name to Red Bambo. I'd probably call it like Dragon, like Red Dragon or something.
Yeah, that sounds way more threatening.
Yeah, like something actually like really threatening. Like you could even do like Atomic Dragon.
Oh, there you go.
And the thing is that their plan is that they're going to try to refine and make nuclear weapons using Godzilla's radiation.
Okay.
So Godzilla is actually trapped by them, and they're using him to power their fusion core to make nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And their plan is that they don't have too many people, but if they have a nuclear weapon, they can control the peninsula. And they've already disrupted shipping. They've already disrupted all these things. They have the kaiju. They have this way of controlling the kaiju. They have an atomic weapon. The world will bend to the will of Atomic Dragon. And so they have to try to find a way to stop it. And while they're waiting for Mothra to wake up, they are like, okay, well, what can we do? And it's just like, well, we can release Godzilla. And they're like, why would we release Godzilla? He's this terror. He's this monster. He's absolutely awful. And then they're like, well, how else are you going to fight the Lobster? Maybe he will be kind to us. Maybe he won't. Either way, we need to do something. This is our only option. And he ends up fighting the Lobster. And as he's about to lose the Lobster, Mothra wakes up and saves the day.
Okay.
Something more like that, where it's Red Lobster.
Lobster.
The evils of Red Lobster with their garlic cheddar biscuits. We'll rule the world. You're the move. Here's me. So, something like that where you actually have like this overarching threat, and if you want people to be sympathetic to Godzilla, maybe making it a thing where it's just like he's a creature. He's being he's being hurt, he's being abused. He didn't it's like he doesn't mean to attack, he just is there. Maybe they kind of justify it with that, and then they fly off into the sunset and they've rescued everybody, and Infant Island's back, and maybe they find a way to be like, perhaps Godzilla may communicate with Mothra and be like, hey, we've worked together before. Your people helped rescue mine. I'll help protect them. You can do something like that. Like if you want to do this angle where you want to make Godzilla more of a good force as compared to like a force of nature that just so happens to help humanity. You can go more along those lines. But I think that modern audience, you definitely have to make Red Bambo into a way more threatening force. And I think that Atomic Dragon getting hold of nuclear weapons, if it's set in the early 60s, that is actually pretty threatening, because we don't really think about it now, but it's like, no, it's a huge deal if some random extremist group got a hold of an atomic weapon powered by Godzilla.
That would not be good.
Yeah. Speaking about things that are not good. Why do you set me up like this, Pat?
You're the one that said it, man.
I'm always I'm awful at this. Speaking of being awful.
You know what's great?
You know what's great? You know what's not awful? This channel. If you like this video, please be sure to like it. If you've seen Ebirah, Horror of the Deep, let us know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Otherwise, we're always looking for like recommendations, things like that. This kind of falls into a bit of a B movie for us, and we do watch B movies on purpose.
Yes.
In one of our other shows, and we're also doing like in every other month we're watching The Evil Dead. And that's a fairly short series. So if there's something else that you would like to do, like another series of John makes Pat watch horror movies, let us know what series you think it would be fun to get Pat's opinions on with horror movies.
I'm a horror novice, so throw it at me.
As am I. Like really, like I watch some horror movies, but like I'm not like deep into the lore. Yeah. I've seen like a few. Yeah. But anyway, I've also seen a lot of the Universal Classic Monster movies. If that's interests you, our other host DJ and I do a show where we watch that, and we're also watching Mel Brooks, and we're doing all sorts of those fun little things, and we watch new movies and all sorts of things. If you like movies, you like this channel. I've rambled long enough. But if you enjoy these rants, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and share us with your friends if they like movies as much as we do. Otherwise, we'll stop nerding out in front of the camera and see you guys in the next one.